What happens when someone publicly humiliates the king of pop in front of 60,000 screaming fans? In 1988, during the height of Michael Jackson's Bad World Tour, a shocking moment occurred that nobody saw coming. A prominent TV host made a cruel comment about Michael's appearance during a live broadcast, thinking she had the upper hand. But what Michael did next left the entire stadium speechless and showed the world why he truly was royalty. This is the untold story of grace under fire and how one man's elegant response became a masterclass in dignity that changed hearts forever. The year was 1988, and Michael Jackson was at the absolute pinnacle of his career. The Bad World Tour was breaking records across the globe, and every show was a spectacle that fans would remember for the rest of their lives. The tour had already become the highest-grossing tour by a solo artist at that time, with Michael performing to sold-out stadiums night after night. On a humid August evening in Miami, the Orange Bowl was packed with 60,000 devoted fans who had waited months, sometimes years, to see their idol perform. The energy was electric, the stage was set, and the anticipation was palpable. But this particular night would be remembered for more than just Michael's incredible performance. The show was being broadcast live on a major television network, a rare occurrence that had fans across America glued to their screens. The broadcast featured celebrity guest commentators, including a well-known talk show host named Linda Martinez, who was known for her sharp tongue and controversial opinions. Linda had built her career on making bold statements that often walked the line between honest critique and outright cruelty. As the cameras rolled during the pre-show coverage, Linda was positioned in a VIP section near the stage, surrounded by other celebrities and media personalities. She had been making comments throughout the evening about various aspects of the show, the crowd, and the production value. Her network had specifically chosen her for this broadcast because of her ability to generate buzz and keep viewers engaged. What the producers didn't anticipate was how far Linda would go in her quest for attention. As Michael's silhouette appeared behind the backdrop for his opening number, the cameras caught Linda adjusting her microphone, a calculated look in her eyes that suggested she was about to make a statement that would grab headlines. The crowd's roar was deafening as Michael prepared to take the stage. This was supposed to be a celebration of music, artistry, and the connection between a performer and his audience. Michael had spent months perfecting every detail of this tour, from the choreography to the costumes to the staging. Each show was a carefully crafted experience designed to transport his fans to another world. Behind the scenes, Michael's team was managing the complex logistics of the live broadcast while ensuring that everything ran smoothly for the performance. His longtime manager, sound engineers, and choreographers were all focused on delivering the magic that Michael Jackson concerts were famous for. None of them could have predicted that the real drama would come not from the stage, but from the commentary booth. As Michael Jackson glided onto the stage with his signature moonwalk, the crowd erupted into a frenzy that could be heard for miles. He was wearing his iconic sequin military jacket, his hair perfectly styled, and his presence commanded every inch of the Orange Bowl. The opening notes of "Wanna Be Startin' Something" filled the air, and for a brief moment, everything was exactly as it should have been. But then Linda Martinez saw her opportunity. As Michael paused between songs to address his fans, his voice carrying across the stadium with warmth and gratitude, Linda leaned into her live microphone. What she said next would shock viewers across America and create a moment of uncomfortable silence that seemed to stretch on forever. "Well, folks," Linda said with a smirk in her voice, "I guess all that plastic surgery money could have been better spent on singing lessons. Looking at him up there, I'm not sure if we're watching a concert or a science experiment gone wrong. Someone should tell Michael that looking like a melted wax figure isn't really the look most people are going for." The comment was broadcast live to millions of viewers, but more importantly, it was heard clearly through the stadium's sound system. The cruel words echoed across the Orange Bowl, reaching not only Michael himself, but all 60,000 fans who had come to celebrate their hero. The reaction was immediate and visceral. A wave of boos and angry shouts erupted from the crowd, directed not at Michael, but toward the commentary booth where Linda sat. Fans began turning in their seats, pointing and expressing their outrage at what they had just heard. Some started chanting Michael's name in defiance, while others shouted for Linda to apologize. What made the moment even more painful was the timing. This was during a period when Michael had been facing intense media scrutiny about his appearance. Tabloids had been relentlessly speculating about his skin condition, vitiligo, which caused patches of his skin to lose pigmentation. Rather than understanding this as a medical condition, many media outlets had spread rumors and made cruel jokes about his changing appearance. Michael had rarely addressed these attacks publicly, choosing instead to let his music and performances speak for themselves. He had learned to develop thick skin when it came to media criticism. But this was different. This wasn't a tabloid article he could choose to ignore. This was a live public humiliation in front of his most devoted fans. Standing on the stage, microphone in hand, Michael could be seen taking a deep breath. The stadium lighting illuminated his face, and for just a moment, viewers could see the impact of Linda's words. His expression showed a flicker of hurt, a brief glimpse of the human being behind the superstar persona. What many people didn't realize was that Michael had been dealing with vitiligo since the early 1980s. The autoimmune condition, which causes white patches to appear on the skin due to loss of pigmentation, had been a source of personal struggle for years. Rather than understanding it as a legitimate medical condition, tabloids had turned his changing appearance into fodder for cruel speculation and jokes. Michael had consulted with numerous dermatologists and had tried various treatments to even out his skin tone. The condition was not only physically challenging, but emotionally devastating for someone constantly in the public eye. He had considered speaking publicly about vitiligo many times, but his advisors had warned that it might only fuel more speculation and mockery. Tonight, however, standing before 60,000 fans who loved him unconditionally, Michael would find the courage to address his condition directly, turning Linda's cruelty into an opportunity for education and understanding. The crowd was becoming increasingly agitated. Security personnel began moving toward Linda's section as fans expressed their anger more vocally. Some were shouting for her to be removed from the venue, while others were chanting support for Michael. The atmosphere had shifted from celebration to confrontation in a matter of seconds. Television producers in the control room were frantically trying to decide how to handle the situation. Should they cut Linda's microphone? Should they apologize on air? Should they cut away from the venue entirely? The live nature of the broadcast meant that millions of people had witnessed the exchange, and there was no way to take it back. Michael's band members and backup dancers could be seen looking toward him for guidance. They had performed with him countless times and had never experienced anything quite like this. The carefully choreographed show had suddenly become an improvised test of character. The seconds ticked by as Michael stood center stage, 60,000 fans waiting to see what their hero would do next. What happened next would become one of the most talked about moments in concert history, showcasing Michael Jackson's grace under pressure in a way that left everyone present completely speechless. Instead of responding with anger or walking off stage, Michael did something completely unexpected. He gently raised his hand to quiet the still booing crowd, and as the stadium gradually fell silent, he began to speak in his soft, measured voice that somehow carried to every corner of the Orange Bowl. "You know," Michael said, his words broadcast clearly through the sound system, "I've learned something important in my life. When someone chooses to spread negativity, it usually says more about their own pain than it does about the person they're talking about." The crowd was hanging on every word, the anger in the stadium beginning to transform into something else entirely. Michael continued, "I want to thank that lady for reminding all of us about something beautiful. Look around you." He gestured to the massive crowd surrounding him. 60,000 people came here tonight, not because of what I look like, but because of how music makes us feel when we're together. The camera caught Linda Martinez in the commentary booth, her confident smirk now replaced with a look of discomfort as she realized the gravity of what was unfolding. "I've been blessed to have vitiligo, a condition that's taught me that beauty isn't about the color of your skin or the shape of your features," Michael said, his voice growing stronger with each word. "It's about the love you share and the joy you bring to others." The stadium was completely silent now, 60,000 people absorbed in this unexpected moment of vulnerability and wisdom from their idol. Michael then did something that no one saw coming. He looked directly toward Linda's section and said, "Miss Martinez, I'd like to invite you up here on stage with me." The crowd gasped audibly. Security personnel froze in their positions, unsure of what was happening. Linda herself looked shocked, shaking her head and pointing to herself as if to say, "Who? Me? Come on up," Michael said with genuine warmth in his voice. "I think there's something beautiful we can share with everyone here tonight." After a few moments of hesitation, and with encouragement from those around her, Linda made her way down to the stage. The walk seemed to take forever, with thousands of eyes following her every step. When she finally reached Michael, she appeared nervous and uncertain. Michael extended his hand to her, and when she took it, he guided her to the center of the stage. Standing there under the bright lights, facing 60,000 people, Linda looked small and vulnerable, completely out of her element. "I want everyone to give Miss Martinez a warm welcome," Michael announced, and slowly, reluctantly, the crowd began to applaud. "Because here's what I believe. When we're standing together like this, we're all just human beings trying to figure out how to love each other better." He turned to Linda and said, just loud enough for the microphones to pick up, "I forgive you, and I hope you can forgive yourself. We all say things we don't mean sometimes." Linda's eyes filled with tears as she realized the magnitude of Michael's gesture. Here was a man who had every right to humiliate her in return, instead choosing to show compassion and grace. The crowd began to sense the transformation happening on stage. What had started as an ugly moment of cruelty was becoming something profound and healing. Michael then asked Linda, "Would you like to help me with the next song?" The question hung in the air as 60,000 fans waited to see what would happen next in this remarkable display of humanity. What followed was a moment that would be replayed countless times and remembered as one of the most powerful examples of grace and forgiveness in entertainment history. Linda Martinez, tears streaming down her face, nodded silently to Michael's invitation. With the gentleness that characterized his interactions with fans, Michael guided her to stand beside him as he addressed the crowd one final time before the music began. "Tonight, we're going to sing Man in the Mirror together," Michael announced, "because sometimes the most beautiful thing we can do is look at ourselves honestly and choose to be better." As the opening chords of the song began, Michael started singing, his voice carrying the emotion of everything that had just transpired. When he reached the chorus, he gestured for Linda to join in, and though her voice was shaky and uncertain, she sang along with him. The sight was extraordinary. The king of pop and the woman who had just insulted him standing together on stage, singing about change and self-reflection, while 60,000 people watched in amazement. Many in the audience were wiping away tears, moved by the unexpected turn of events. As the song continued, something magical happened. Linda began to find her voice, singing stronger and with more confidence. The crowd, initially hesitant, began singing along too, creating a powerful chorus that seemed to heal the wounds that had been opened just minutes earlier. When the song ended, Michael embraced Linda, and the entire stadium erupted in applause, not just for the performance, but for the display of humanity they had just witnessed. Linda took the microphone and through tears offered a heartfelt apology, not just to Michael, but to all his fans who had been hurt by her words. "I came here tonight thinking I was better than everyone else," she said, her voice breaking. "But this man just taught me what real class looks like. Michael, I am so sorry, and I will never forget what you've shown me tonight." The impact of this moment extended far beyond that August evening in Miami. Video footage of the exchange was broadcast repeatedly on news programs across the country. In an era before social media, the story spread through word of mouth, newspaper articles, and television segments, becoming a defining moment in Michael Jackson's public image. Linda Martinez returned to her talk show the following week and dedicated an entire episode to discussing what had happened. She spoke openly about how Michael's response had forced her to confront her own prejudices and cruelty. The experience, she said, had fundamentally changed how she approached her work and her interactions with others. More importantly, the incident became a teaching moment that transcended the world of entertainment. Educators used the story in classrooms to discuss bullying, forgiveness, and standing up for others. Religious leaders referenced it in sermons about turning the other cheek and responding to hatred with love. For Michael Jackson's fans, The moment solidified their devotion to an artist who had proven himself to be not just a talented performer, but a genuinely good human being. It became part of the Michael Jackson legend, a story passed down from older fans to younger ones, proof that their hero was worthy of their admiration, both on and off the stage. Years later, when Michael faced various controversies and challenges, many people would remember that night in Miami as evidence of his character. It showed a man who, when given the opportunity for revenge, chose compassion instead. The elegant response that surprised 60,000 fans that night became a masterclass in grace under pressure, proving that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do in the face of cruelty is to respond with unexpected kindness. If this incredible story of grace triumphing over cruelty moved you, please hit that like button right now and share this video with someone who needs to see how the King of Pop turned public humiliation into a moment of healing. Your share could be exactly what someone needs today to choose compassion over conflict. But think about this for a moment. When was the last time you witnessed someone respond to cruelty with such dignity? When was the last time you saw someone in a position of power choose healing over hurting when they had every right to strike back? This story isn't just about Michael Jackson and Linda Martinez. It's about all of us and the choice we face every day between revenge and redemption. Subscribe and ring that notification bell because we have more incredible untold stories that prove kindness conquers cruelty, grace defeats hatred, and sometimes the most powerful response to an attack is an act of love. These are the stories that show Michael Jackson's true character when the world was watching. What's your moment when you chose kindness over cruelty? Have you ever seen someone transform hatred into healing the way Michael did that night in Miami? Tell us in the comments below. Your story might inspire thousands of viewers to choose grace when faced with their own moments of testing. Remember, Linda Martinez walked onto that stage as someone filled with cruelty and walked off as someone transformed by grace. Michael Jackson could have destroyed her that night in front of 60,000 people and millions of viewers. Instead, he chose to heal her. That choice didn't just change her life. It showed an entire generation what true strength really looks like. The distance between hatred and healing is sometimes just one act of unexpected kindness. What will you choose when your moment comes?